help me, please? Get me out of the car. Can you take video of this?
That's video of Austin, Texas police officers pulling a woman out of a car. A bystander also took these still pictures of the event. He thought the police were abusing the woman. So who's right? Who is David and who is Goliath in that situation? Did the police abuse that woman? Or did the man who confronted the police abuse underpaid civil servants who risked their lives trying to keep us safe? With police officers being shot, it's not always clear who's David and who's Goliath, but Antonio Beeler says it's clear to him. He was the bystander in that video, and you say, there's no question, the police are Goliath.
Yeah, they can commit crimes, they can kill people, and they can get away with it.
Well, commit crimes, they can't get away with that.
Well, they have in my case. They abused a woman who had not committed any crime. They ended up arresting her.
They were pulling it was a DUI arrest.
But she was a passenger. She had not committed any crime. She was not suspected of committing a crime. And they pulled her out of the vehicle. They abused her. And then I tried to ask questions and take pictures. So they came up to me, got on my face, started pushing and shoving me, and they falsely charged me with a felony crime that I did not commit.
And this is where I think your argument is best, that our best protection against the people we empower to imprison us is the camera. And it's legal everywhere in America to photograph the police doing their jobs. But lots of people get arrested for that, and the cops who do it, to my knowledge, never get punished. I mean, in your case, the Austin police said, you spat on me, you're resisting arrest.
Well, that's right. And even though we had numerous witnesses step forward to say that that was a lie, and we had audio and video, they continued to push my charges against me. It took 15 months for it to go to a grand jury, at which time they indicted me on 4 new charges.
And 2 years, finally, you got a jury trial, and jury said, let him go.
Well, it was actually 2 years and 9 months before we finally took it to trial, and it took them that long to actually give us the dash cameras. But yeah, I was found not guilty, but...
And one of the Austin cops testified for you, actually.
That's right. That's right. He crossed the thin blue line, and he was then fired once he told his commanders that he was going to testify. You
now call yourself a police accountability activist.
I do that on the side. My main job is education, but yes, I'm a police.
You've been arrested a bunch of times.
I've been arrested.
Taking pictures.
Yeah, I've been arrested 5 times, and every single time I was trying to film the police.
To defend the police. They go on to these situations, and often they are scared. They don't know who's in the car, if they're armed. Some people hate the police. Cops have been killed. They're being nervous and careful.
Well, cops have a relatively safe job. It's safer than pilots, construction workers, sanitation workers.
Yeah, I think we have a chart on this, and this is remarkable because they often say we should get paid more because our job is much more dangerous, but it's much less dangerous than fishing or farming or being a roofer.
Right. And
garbage man.
And, you know, every life that is lost is tragic, but police officers, like soldiers, actually volunteered for jobs that carry the risk of violence. The people they abuse never volunteered for that.
They do, though, go into the situation scared. The fisherman and the logger don't. There is an extra element of fear in police work.
Well, I think a lot of that fear is self-generated. They continually tell themselves that they're victims, that they're the ones who are being targeted.
You say there's certain things the public should know when dealing with a police officer.
By filming the police, you can help save a life. You can provide that evidence which will help exonerate an innocent person. And the act of filming police actually changed the behavior of the police to where they are more likely to respect the dignity of the people that they're interacting with.
You would have to be careful not to interfere with the arrest, but if you keep your distance, you have every right to take pictures.
Yeah, and the distance is, it depends on the situation. When we film police in highly crowded areas downtown, you know, we'll get as close as 10 feet to them, but there's people who are walking within a couple feet of them, but they don't ever seem to be concerned or scared of the random passerby. They only tend to be scared of the people with cameras.
Police officers have unusual power. They can arrest you, shoot you. I think it would be important to be allowed to have a video record. But in the last few years, in all these states, people have been threatened or detained or arrested after recording the police. Bradley Balco wrote a Reason magazine article about it. He joins me now. So, really locked up?
Yeah, locked up, threatened. Now, in most of these cases, the people aren't actually prosecuted. The charges tend to get dropped before these cases get to trial. And I think because the people prosecuting these cases and the people who make the laws don't want the laws to actually get challenged. But it's a night in jail. I mean, it's...
What does the arresting cop say?
Well, in states that have these two-party consent laws, they rely on the old wiretapping laws, and they're claiming that police officers...
We have a graphic of which those states are, and they do really impede reporting on government, these two-party states.
Well, and then the claim is that police officers have a right to privacy while they're on the job, in public, exercising, let's face it, some pretty powerful responsibilities that we give them. I think that claim is ridiculous, but that's usually the charge. Now, they also say you're interfering with arrest or you're refusing to obey a lawful order if they tell you to turn the camera off and you don't. And I think those arrests are wrong as well.
How does it interfere with the arrest? You're just recording the arrest.
Well, it only interferes with the arrest if the police officer is bothered by the fact that you're recording him, and it's a ridiculous argument. But here's the thing. I mean, you may not go to jail for these charges, but they're going to take your camera. They're going to arrest you. You're going to be handcuffed. You're going to be put in the back of a squad car. And nothing is going to happen to the police officers who illegally arrest you. Usually.
What, nothing, even when they don't get reprimanded, suspended?
Well, in the Mississippi case, the video that you just showed, the police officers deleted evidence in that criminal case. They destroyed evidence.
And nothing happened to them for that?
And nothing happened to them. No investigation, nothing.
Here's one more case. In Maryland, motorcyclist Tony Graber got in trouble for taping a cop who pulled him over for speeding. Here's the clip.
Get off the motorcycle. Get off the motorcycle. State police. See your hands. Put your hands up.
Now, that was a little scary because it wasn't obviously a cop. It was just a guy with a gun. He did then say he was with the police. What happened?
Well, in this case, Tony Graber didn't get arrested until he posted that video on YouTube. And once he posted it on YouTube, the state police, they raided his home. They came into his home early in the morning, guns drawn, confiscated a bunch of computer equipment, held him and his parents at gunpoint, arrested him. He spent several nights in jail. And he had felony charges hanging over his head for several months until the case finally got to court. And then a state judge in Maryland actually threw out the charges in a really strongly worded opinion.
Yeah, here's what he said. Those of us who are public officials and are entrusted with the power of the state should not expect our actions to be shielded from public observation. Sed qui custodiet, I'm not going to try to do the Latin, but he ended with saying, who watches the watchman, which is something Plato asked. And it's a good question because these guys have big powers. I'm stunned that they can just do this, and they went in this guy's home. Nothing happened to them?
Well, that's really the double standard here, right? The prosecutor who charged him, the cops who raided him and arrested him, they were all wrong about the law and did real harm to him, and none of them are going to suffer any consequences at all. And I think that's really what the double standard is here.
Now, one good thing about the new technology is it's never been easier to keep an eye on the cops.
Yeah.
I mean, my cell phone has a camera here, and
well, mine does too. And I'll just show you how easy this is. And I really think this technology is incredibly powerful as well as easy. Let's just get this rolling here. So right now, I'm recording this. So I'm recording us chatting right now. And as I'm recording my conversation with you, this is actually live streaming up to a website called Kik.com. And not only is it streaming on that website, it's also being archived on Kik's servers. So, John, if you were offended by my recording this conversation and your security detail were to rough me up,
confiscate the phone,
and you throw the phone against the wall or stomp on it and break it, this video is now stored off-site and it's safe and it can't be tampered with. Now, this is an extraordinary piece of technology. I mean, I don't think it's an overstatement to say it. I mean, this is revolutionary in terms of holding government officials accountable, not just police officers, but I mean, we saw this in Iran when the Iranian Revolution a couple summers ago. We saw these videos coming out of the government cracking down on these protesters, and these videos were getting sent up to satellites and beamed all over the world before the government could do anything about it. There's George Orwell has a famous saying, he says, if you want to envision the future of humanity, imagine a boot stepping on a human face forever. right? A very sort of pessimistic view of government.
Yes.
But, I think he's probably still right. But now there's probably someone who's going to be around with a cell phone camera to take a video and post it on YouTube. And really, transparency is, I think, half the battle.
This little thing is a weapon against tyranny.
It is. It absolutely is. And I think we should, not only should we sort of celebrate that technology, that we have this huge weapon against tyranny in our pockets, but we need to make sure that the laws protect the way we use it and that ensure that we can continue to use it that way.
But Jim Pasco of the Fraternal Order of Police says we have to put some faith and trust in our authority figures. And it has a chilling effect, camera, on officers who are now afraid to act for fear of retribution by video.
I think if you're a police officer and you're carrying a gun and a badge, you're holding yourself up to sort of a higher level of accountability. And if you're doing your job right, you shouldn't have anything to fear from every citizens having video. It will probably help you more than it'll hurt you.
And here's one example that happened just right outside the studio. A policeman charged a bicyclist with attempted assault. He claimed that the bicyclist just rode into him on purpose. But then this video turned up. Clearly not on purpose. What happened there?
In this case, the police officer lost his job. I think that's probably a good thing.
Me too. One last case. In Washington, D.C., a police officer got angry when he drove past a snowball fight and his car was hit with snowballs.
Throw the snowball. Get back up on the curb.
He denied that he ever drew his gun. The department backed him until this video appeared. What happened then?
Well, this case really illustrates how powerful these citizen shot videos are. In this case, the D.C. Police Department continued to say that there was no gun drawn well after this video was on YouTube and had spread all over Twitter. But this video clearly shows he did have his gun drawn, and the officer ended up getting, I think he got a 10 or 20-day suspension. But, this is why this technology is so powerful. Until now, until everybody had these cameras in their pockets, the police narrative was the official narrative. That's the only narrative we had. And now we can challenge that narrative.
I assume usually they tell the truth, but it's good that we have cameras. Thank you, Radley Balko.